Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's a pleasure to have you. This is SAD Moda and your topical time with SAD Moda. Thank you for logging on. This might seem a very good news for the farmers in Nigeria at a time like this, at the tail end of the Eid Fitr celebration. While Mohammed was addressing the Nigerians, he also at the same time told farmers to ensure or embark on massive food production at a time like this for sustainability and livelihood of every Nigerian, because as it were that there was no money for importation. The second aspect of it actually looks somehow like, what about that? Every now and then, do we even know how all of that happens or how it works in importation and all that? But that notwithstanding, I think that is some sign of very good news and a green card for farmers around Nigeria, as people are saying, okay, aside saying that what are the benefits, what are the things they're going to benefit, so what effort is the federal government putting in place to ensure it is a bit very easy for them at this time to also go into farming or mass farming production of food for the nation, because what we know at this time is that farming action sustainability of this is very vital for any nation. Looking at the negative effects of the pandemic situation around the world, because this is not just an epidemic in a particular country but pandemic around the world. So what is very most significant to every nation is sustainability and livelihood of her member citizens. So what has Nigeria put in place? What are the incentives to help boost the farming system in Nigeria? Let me read it so that it will, because this is a very reliable source of information on news. Nigeria task farmer on massive food production, says no money for food importation. So in furtherance to that, we have President Buhari, who spoke to the state health correspondent, said, I hope the rainy season will be very bountiful so that we get a lot of food. Yes, like we know, the rainy season has really started, so it is time. It is now about the time this is made to go into the field and so for harvest later in the year. I wish the farmers would go to the farms and save their lives so that we can produce what we need in sufficient quantity, so that we don't have to import food. In any way, we don't have any money to import food, so we must produce what we are going to eat. Like I said, number 2 of the sustainable development goals is zero hunger, while number 1 is no poverty. So when there is no hunger, definitely there is no poverty. This today go in pari passu, and actually help in sustainability of every member nation in a country. So it is very important and pertinent that farmers at this time go into the farm. Let us increase our farming capacity. Whatever we've been doing, maybe if we've been doing sustenance subsistence agriculture just for our immediate use, and if you have the farmland, why not increase it also for commercial purposes. And it is also noted that the government should actually intervene so that after the production, after the harvest, these food crops are actually taken from the farmers, those in the rural area, taken from them to the urban. So there should be off-takers, so that you not just be at the very lower spectrum of the production, and there's again wastage of food. We can already see that there's scarcity of so many commodities now, and this has resulted to a hike in price of nearly all the food available. Yes, this is this has shown, like in 2-3 months of setback at all, we could see that there is an increase in nearly all types of food in our nation, Nigeria. So the government should at least assist this farmer, increase the interest rate. I know they've been doing a lot in this aspect to ensure there is I know they've been doing a lot of loans for different kind of farming, but they have to do more, because this is one of the items, considering the teeming population we have. I think this is one of the sector that should be really focused on at this time, because I'm sure, like he rightly said, what every nation is doing for herself now is to self-sufficiency, make sure they provide for her teeming population. Nobody is willing to even import or export anything. Once your people are okay, you owe your country that, as the president has actually said very well, because this is planting season, and for the annual crops that do annually, then this is time for us, that because we need this food, man must survive, man must eat. And in other development, we have other news ranging around the economy as regards the Eid al-Fitr, whether we like it or not. People still flouted the Eid al-Fitr prayers and all of that. That's gone, that's past. But I think to a very large extent, I've heard so many people also complaining about this, maybe in also social media comment, that it is really appalling over and over that indigenes of Nigeria or citizens usually flout the government guidelines and principle concerning this. So what is even the place of the state government? How well are they taking some of them are really taking autonomy or powers into their hand by doing all of this and not adhering. But we saw what happened, the crowd, or the influx of people through the Niger bridge into the eastern part of Nigeria, and this eventually made the governor of the state to lock down the bridge from the tail south and entering into the southeastern part of Nigeria. So it begins to ask so many questions, like I have highlighted here. Like, okay, believe about COVID-19. Do we really believe COVID-19 exists? The way the level of complacency is so high that sometimes you begin to imagine, except for very few elite people who know that yes, this virus is out there. So many people are really so complacent, they don't believe it exists. So we could even see this in leadership, interstate, and in leadership, because there's supposed to be interstate lockdown restriction to only essential goods and services. But like we saw on the Onitsha bridge, it was just like, this is the normal day-to-day activities and normal interstate activities, nothing like restriction of any kind. Do people believe in the virus? And even though they believe, where is the national coordination? There is it is just like autopilot, anything can happen. There's porosity, and what are the guidelines? Because it seems over every now and then people are not following the guidelines of the COVID-19, adhering to the simple instructions. Yes, like we know that like in developing nations, let's even take Nigeria for instance, we've been able to manage it, or the cases has not been as predicted by international bodies. But this could be for so many, but that is not enough reason actually why we have to sit back and act like, oh, it doesn't really exist, or even if it exists, it doesn't concern us in so many ways. So people have to be really, because now we are looking at the ease of lockdown. Eventually, we don't know what the federal government would say to that. Maybe by June 1st of June, we'll be back to our normal life. So we are left with the options to observe the preventive measures, which we already know, because now what we've seen over and over is that the vaccine may even take a longer time to get. But even at that, we have to be on our very topmost personal hygiene, so that we do not get contracted with this infection at this time. So what the federal government, I think, has been suggested they should do is, in easing terms of lockdown, some of the medicines or antibiotics that has been used to treat patients before now should be distributed to nearly all states in the federation, so that every clinic would have it. Then we just walk down there, maybe as if someone has malaria, and this will be treated very well. So these are some of the guidelines or the principles that I think the federal government should adopt in opening the economy again, because like we already know, like we've heard by the WHO and NCDC, the virus has come to stay, and it will stay longer than we actually expect. So for this reason, it is now left for individual responsibility and ownership in managing the COVID-19 pandemic, because we do not want to have more fatalities or register more than we have already registered. So we have some other news in the economy, like the 4K, the GDP, ratio, what we have achieved at this time, Q1 of 2020. It's seemingly looking like no matter how we see it, it's seemingly not looking like very interesting. I know economic experts, statisticians, and the Bureau of Statistics, they are working on that, and they will give us feedback. They will give us I think they would also try to work on that and give us good results afterwards, because single number is not what we need in Nigeria for growth and development. Like I listened to an analyst analyzing all the parameters and the metrics, that is never enough. Single digit is never enough for our growth or development. So we have to look at some things that are a bit looked down upon in measuring. They should actually look at what to be measured and what is measured, because over the years it's like, okay, we're measuring same thing and it's not giving a positive result. Same time it's giving all results, it's giving same negative or just single digits. No, that is not enough. And the core tail of it, or the in his summary, it was like more of corruption is the reason why all of this corruption, lack of accountability and reporting are some of the reasons why we're not moving ahead with. And I think the Bureau of Statistics, like he commended them, they're doing a whole lot of job in all of this, but they have to also look inward to ensure that the metrics are analyzed very well, so that we can actually ascend beyond what has happened, beyond what is recorded already. So those are some of the seemingly good news so far in Nigeria. But the one that is really interesting me is the agricultural aspect of it. Like the government, the president himself has mentioned that Nigerians should actually go back, farmers rather should go back to farming. So it is time for everybody to utilize their land and their land or farmland. So another thing that just gets into my head is what about the insecurity in some of the parts of the nation that has made people to flee their farmland? What are we doing about that? Like, we know that even this has killed a lot of Nigerians more than COVID-19. So what are we doing about that? What measures is the government putting in place to ensure that insecurity is minimized, people can't go back to their land? So these are some of the things that has really not promote agriculture in the past, that in the recent time is insecurity, leakages, like, okay, these goods are not easily transported from their farmland to where they are needed, whereby there is a waste. And some of these really, you know what that means, like you've put in your effort into your farming system for a whole lot of years, then at the end of it you realize that you're really not gaining cap and profit. Because whether we like it or not, farming is also a part of business where the farmer, it tends to make gains at the end of the year. So these are some of the very beautiful news in our nation Monday, Tuesday. So reporting by Topical Network. So if you have other interesting news, let me know in the comment section. And your Topical get essay. Thank you for staying with me. Do have a very pleasant